So next we have Omar Adullah, who's one of our own. He's a student here at VCU. He's from Baghdad. He moved here in 2008. Double major in Homeland Security, and then also political science.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you all for being here. 20 minutes is very generous time. I don't think I'm going to bore you that much or that long. But so my story starts in Baghdad. I was born and raised in Baghdad, and I come from middle-class family. My mother is a teacher. My father is an army general, at least until 2003, where immediately after the collapse of Saddam's regime, we had some corrupt and one-sided political parties taking over the government, and I think it's no secret any longer that due to the policies of those political parties, there was a great deal of sectarian tension, especially in places like Baghdad, where people from different ethnicities and backgrounds lived in such a small city. Now, with this growing tension, and because of my first name, that to some of you might know that it's a name that identifies people who carry it and reveals their religious identity or religious background. It was not an option for us as a family to stay in Baghdad any longer, and we had to move and live up north in Kurdistan region, in a small province, but lovely province called Duhok. Kurdistan is relatively safe. It's a place that dominated by Kurdish majority. I met a lot of good friends, good people that I still in touch with until today. And the problem that I faced there, even though I was still inside Iraq, the new problem emerged that I come from, and since I come from Arabic background, I was not legally allowed to obtain a permanent resident status. So I had to reapply and refill tons of forms in order to extend my stay in Kurdistan, in the same country where I was born. Long story short, in 2008, and with the help with some American friends that I met in Iraq, I was able to come with my parents, my 3 siblings, to Hampton, Virginia. And since then, I only encountered and met people who were willing to help in many forms. No cash was presented, but in many other forms. And I remember those families taking us to the DMV to issue Virginia IDs, taking us to medical facilities to continue our immunization record required for the permanent resident status down the road. And the thing that surprised me in a good way is also, although people here still have in memory the shocking events of 9/11, yet I was never prejudged by people here. Although I have this skin tone, I have this thick accent. At the time, I barely spoke the language. And it made me wonder why a country like Iraq, which is a tiny country in comparison to the United States, in which people are living in a tribal-based society where everyone was relative to everyone, or everyone's uncle or father knew everyone's uncle or father somehow, still this country engulfed with a lot of sectarian violence and intolerance, versus a giant place like the United States, where even more ethnicities, people come from different countries to live here, and some of them don't even speak English, I noticed. But still, everyone lived here, thankfully, peacefully together. And it wasn't until I went back to school here in the United States in Northern Virginia Community College and studied political science for a while that I realized that one of the good answers to my question was that what we lost in Iraq is a very essential thing for every nation to stay together, which is a common identity. You see, in Iraq, if you ask people and if they trust you enough to talk to you frankly, they would identify themselves as Arabs, Kurds, Muslims, Christians, Yazidis, everything but Iraqis. And thankfully, we do not have this problem here. And I think what contributes to us not having this problem here is that people feel sense of justice, feel the tremendous amount of equality that we have here in the United States. This is why I think values like liberty and equality are not just making this country great, but also making it safe. What we hear now, and I'm not trying to influence my political orientation on you or anything, but what we hear from some presidential candidates, it's kind of, I think of it it's kind of dangerous more than offensive. Because if we try to tell thousands of people here in the United States over and over that they're not Americans, we're basically doing the same mistake that Iraqi government did after 2003, which is sending the message to millions of people in Iraq in 3 provinces that they do not deserve any basic rights, and they were stigmatized because who they are or what are their names or how they look. And what ended up happened in Iraq is, unfortunately but truly, I think, a lot of people in those cities welcomed a heinous organization like ISIS or ISIL. Again, I would only emphasize that we should never let this thing happen here in the United States. And I don't know about everyone, I cannot speak for everyone, but I love how inclusive this country is. And inside me, there's always this growing sense of responsibility toward this country in terms of paying it back in a good way. Thank you.